The first thing I register is the scent. Cedar. Dark amber. Something primal that makes my wolf stir beneath my skin like she's waking from 100-year sleep. My eyes snap open, and the world comes into focus in fragments, silk sheets the color of midnight, floor-to-ceiling windows revealing a forest that stretches endlessly, and a ceiling so high it belongs in a cathedral, not a bedroom. This isn't my room. This isn't even my pack's territory. My heart slams against my ribs as I sit up, and that's when I feel it, a sharp, burning sensation at the base of my neck. My hand flies to the spot, fingers trembling as they trace the raised skin. The mark is still fresh, still hot to the touch, and even without seeing it, I know exactly what it is. A mate mark. But not just any mate mark. This one pulses with power, ancient and overwhelming, like it's been carved into my soul with lightning. No, I whisper, my voice cracking. No, no, no. You're awake. The voice rolls through the room like thunder wrapped in velvet, and my entire body goes rigid. I turn slowly, dreading what I'll see, and there he is, standing in the doorway like he owns not just this room but the entire world. And maybe he does. Kale Stormfang. The Alpha King. He's exactly as terrifying as the stories claim. 6'4" of controlled danger, with shoulders that could carry the weight of kingdoms and eyes the color of molten silver. His dark hair is slightly mushed, like he's run his hands through it repeatedly, and he's wearing nothing but black sleep pants that hang low on his hips, revealing the kind of body that's been forged in battle, not a gym. But it's his face that makes my breath catch, all sharp angles and brutal beauty, with a scar cutting through his left eyebrow that only makes him more devastating. He's watching me with an intensity that makes my skin prickle, those silver eyes tracking every movement like I'm prey he's decided not to kill yet. What did you do to me? My voice comes out stronger than I feel, and I clutch the sheet to my chest even though I'm still wearing. I glance down. A silk nightgown. Black. Definitely not mine. I should be asking you the same question. His voice is dangerously calm, but there's something underneath it, confusion. Anger. He moves into the room with predatory grace, and every instinct I have screams at me to run. But I can't. Because my wolf is doing something she's never done before, she's reaching for him. Don't come any closer, I warn, and shadows flicker at the edges of my vision. My gift. The one I've spent 23 years hiding, the one that got my mother killed and marked me as dangerous to every pack that's ever heard my name. He stops, his eyes narrowing. You're a Shadowborn. It's not a question, and the way he says it, like he's just solved a puzzle, makes my blood run cold. I don't know what you're talking about. The lie tastes bitter. Don't. The single word cracks through the air like a whip. I can smell the lie on you, Sarah Nightshade. And considering you're wearing my mark and I have yours, he tilts his head, exposing his own neck, and sure enough, there it is. My mark. Silvery and intricate, like moonlight frozen on his skin. I think we're past the point of pretending. The room spins. I have marked him. The Alpha King. That's impossible. Marking is a mutual act, something that happens when two wolves consciously bind themselves together. It requires intention, ritual, and... I don't remember, I whisper, and the admission feels like swallowing glass. I don't remember any of this. For the first time, his expression shifts. Something flickers across his face, surprise, maybe, or recognition. Neither do I. The silence that follows is suffocating. That's impossible, I finally say. Mate bonds don't just happen. Someone did this. Someone with power. Or you did. His eyes flash dangerously. Shadowborn have been known to manipulate memory, to twist reality itself. For all I know, you're some assassin sent by the Eastern Pax to compromise me. Excuse me. I throw off the sheets and stand, ignoring how the nightgown barely reaches mid-thigh, ignoring how his eyes track the movement with an intensity that makes heat pool in my belly. If I were trying to assassinate you, I sure as hell wouldn't wake up with no memory and your mark on my neck. That's literally the worst assassination plan in history. His jaw tightens, and I see the moment he recognizes the logic in my words. But instead of backing down, he closes the distance between us in 3 strides, and suddenly he's right there, close enough that I can feel the heat radiating off his skin, close enough that his scent wraps around me like a physical thing. Then explain, he growls, and his wolf is right there in his voice, why every instinct I have is screaming at me to protect you. To keep you. Why the thought of you leaving this room makes me want to burn the world down. My breath catches. Because I feel it too, this pull, this need that has nothing to do with choice and everything to do with something ancient and unstoppable. The mate bond, I whisper. Exactly. His hand lifts, and I think he's going to touch me, but he stops himself, fingers curling into a fist. Which means either someone forced this bond, or we did it ourselves and someone stole our memories of it. Either way. A knock at the door interrupts him, sharp and urgent. My king, a male voice calls. The council is demanding an audience. They've heard about the situation. Kale's expression goes glacial. Tell them I'll address them when I'm ready. They're threatening to invoke the ancient law. Every muscle in Kale's body goes taut. I don't know what the ancient law is, but from the look on his face, it's nothing good. Give me 10 minutes, he snarls. Footsteps retreat down the hallway, and Kale turns back to me. We need to talk, but first, you need to understand something. This mark, his fingers hover over my neck, not quite touching but close enough that I feel the ghost of his heat, means you're under my protection now. Whether we remember choosing it or not, you're the Alpha King's mate. That makes you the most powerful woman in the Northern Territories. And the most hunted, I counter, because I'm not stupid. Every pack that wants your throne will see me as a weakness to exploit. Every wolf who thinks they should be standing where I am will want me dead. A slow, dangerous smile curves his lips. Let them try. The casual confidence in those words should irritate me. Instead, it sends a thrill down my spine that I absolutely refuse to analyze. What's the ancient law? I ask. His smile vanishes. A blood law from the old times. If a king takes a mate whose lineage is questioned or whose bonding is suspicious, the council can demand a trial of truth. Which is 3 challenges designed to prove whether the bond is genuine or fabricated. If you fail, he doesn't finish, but he doesn't have to. They'll kill me and break the bond, I finish for him. They'll try. The correction is fierce, possessive. But they'd have to go through me first, and I don't die easily. I should be terrified. I should be planning my escape, figuring out how to break this bond before the council can put me on trial. But instead, I find myself asking, why are you protecting me? You don't know me. For all you know, I am a threat. He steps back, putting distance between us, and something in his expression shifts, becomes carefully blank. Because the bond doesn't lie. Whatever happened, whoever we were before we woke up this morning, our wolves chose each other. And I don't abandon what's mine. What's mine? The possessive claim should make me bristle, should trigger every independent instinct I have. But my wolf, treacherous creature, practically purrs at the words. I need clothes, I say instead, because I can't process this right now, can't deal with the implications of being bound to the most powerful wolf in the Northern Territories when I can't even remember how it happened. And I need to know what happened last night. Agreed. He moves to a wardrobe that's probably bigger than my old apartment and pulls out a shirt, his shirt, dark gray and massive. He tosses it to me. This will do until we can get you proper clothes. As for what happened. He runs a hand through his hair, frustration evident in every line of his body. The last thing I remember is the summit ball. The gathering of all regional alphas to discuss the rogue attacks. I wasn't at any summit ball, I say, pulling his shirt on over the nightgown. It falls to my knees and smells so intensely of him that my wolf practically swoons. The last thing I remember is working my shift at the Silver Moon Tavern. I was closing up, and then I strain to remember, but there's nothing. Just a blank space where the last 12 hours should be. Someone took our memories, Cale says, and there's a dangerous edge to his voice now. Someone powerful enough to make us both forget. To force or trick us into completing a mate bond. And they're going to pay for it. Or, I counter, meeting his silver eyes steadily, we did this ourselves, for reasons we can't remember, and someone else made us forget to protect something. A secret. A plan. He stares at me for a long moment, and I see the moment the possibility takes root. You're more clever than I expected. Most people underestimate wolves from Omega bloodlines, I say, not bothering to hide the bitterness. We're good at surviving that way. You're from an Omega family. He sounds surprised. Was. I touched the mark on my neck reflexively. I'm guessing that changed the moment I got bonded to you. Before he can respond, the door bursts open. 3 men stride in, all powerful, all radiating authority. The council, I assume. We gave you 10 minutes, my king, the one in front says. He's older, with steel-gray hair and eyes that assess me like I'm an insect he's deciding whether to crush. Yet you're still entertaining this situation. Careful, Aldrich. Cale's voice drops to a lethal purr. You're speaking about my mate. An unmated king disappeared into the night and emerged with a marked mate no one has ever heard of, from a bloodline we cannot verify, with no memory of how the bonding occurred. Aldrich's gaze slides to me, cold and dismissive. Forgive us for questioning the legitimacy of this arrangement. There's nothing to question, Cale says. The bond is genuine. Then you'll have no objection to the trial of truth. This comes from the second council member, a woman with sharp features and sharper eyes. 3 challenges over 3 days to prove the bond's authenticity. If she passes, we acknowledge her as our queen. If she fails. She won't fail, Cale growls. But if she does, the woman continues relentlessly, the bond will be broken, and she will be exiled from the Northern Territories. Permanently. I feel Cale tense beside me, feel his wolf rise to the surface, ready to fight. But I step forward before he can speak. I accept. 3 words. They echo in the sudden silence like a death sentence. Sarah, Cale starts, but I cut him off. I accept, I repeat, meeting Aldrich's gaze directly. I'll take your trial. All 3 challenges. And when I pass them, you're going to acknowledge me as your queen and never question this bond again. Aldrich's lips curl into something that might be a smile if smiles could draw blood. Very well. The first challenge begins at sundown tonight. I hope you're prepared, little wolf. I hope you are, I counter. Because I don't lose. The 3 council members leave, and the moment the door closes behind them, Cale rounds on me. What the hell were you thinking? You have no idea what these challenges entail. They could be designed to kill you. So could staying in this room and waiting for someone to figure out how to break our bond and eliminate me, I interrupt. At least this way, I control the narrative. You control nothing, he snarls, and his eyes have gone full wolf, pure molten silver with no human left. You're in my world now, surrounded by wolves who would kill you for sport if given the chance, and you just agreed to put yourself in the arena with them. Then I guess you better make sure I'm ready. I cross my arms. You said I'm yours, right? That you don't abandon what belongs to you. Well, then help me survive this. Because I didn't wake up in the Alpha King's bed with his mark on my neck just to die 3 days later. The tension between us is electric, dangerous. His wolf is so close to the surface I can practically see it pacing beneath his skin, and my own is responding, rising to meet his challenge. "You're insane," he finally says, but there's something in his voice that wasn't there before. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. "I'm an Omega who survived in a world designed to eat wolves like me alive," I shoot back. Insane is just another word for adaptive. He stares at me for another heartbeat, and then, unexpectedly, he laughs. It's a dark, rough sound that shivers through me. "All right, Sarah Nightshade. If you want to play this game, we play it together. But from now until the trial is over, you do exactly what I say. You train when I tell you to train. You eat when I tell you to eat. You don't leave my sight unless I explicitly allow it. Understood?" Every independent bone in my body rebels against the command. But I'm not stupid. I need him if I'm going to survive this. "Understood," I agree. "But in return, you tell me everything you know about these trials. Every detail, every rumor, every dirty secret the council doesn't want me to know. Deal?" He extends his hand, and I take it. The moment our skin touches, electricity arcs between us, hot and violent and utterly undeniable. My wolf surges forward, and I feel his do the same, and suddenly we're locked in this moment, this connection that goes deeper than flesh and bone. "What are you?" he whispers, and there's wonder beneath the suspicion now. "I don't know," I admit, and it's the truest thing I've said all morning. But I'm starting to think someone went to a lot of trouble to make sure we found each other. And when I figure out who and why, they're going to regret it. His smile is sharp and feral. "I'm starting to like you, little wolf." "Don't," I warn. "I'm not staying longer than I have to. Once we figure out what happened and I survive this trial, I'm gone." It's a lie, and we both know it. The mate bond is already sinking its claws in deep, and with every passing second, the thought of leaving him becomes more impossible. But I'll be damned if I admit that out loud. The rest of the day passes in a blur of preparation that feels more like a military operation than wedding planning. Kale's estate is vast, a sprawling mansion built into the mountainside with enough rooms to house a small army. Which, as it turns out, he essentially has. Beta wolves patrol every corridor, their eyes tracking my movements with suspicion poorly disguised as duty. They don't trust me, I observe as we walk through the training grounds. The sun is starting its descent toward the horizon, painting everything in shades of amber and blood. They don't trust anyone, Kale corrects. It's what keeps me alive. He's changed into training clothes, black on black, fitted enough to show every dangerous line of his body. I've been given similar attire, though the female version clings to curves I usually try to hide. Out here, in his world, there's no point in hiding anything. "Tell me about the trials," I say, testing the flexibility of the reinforced pants. "What exactly am I facing at sundown?" Kale's expression darkens. The trial of truth has 3 phases. The first is the trial of blood, a test of combat prowess. They'll pit you against opponents designed to expose any weakness. So, a fight. Not just any fight. They'll choose wolves specifically to counter your strengths and exploit your vulnerabilities. He stops, turning to face me fully. "Show me your Shadowborn abilities. If I'm going to keep you alive, I need to know exactly what I'm working with." My instinct is to refuse. The last time someone saw the full extent of my gift, they branded my mother a witch and burned her alive while I watched, helpless and hidden. But the mark on my neck pulses with a warmth that feels like reassurance, and my wolf practically begs me to trust him. "All right," I breathe. "But what you're about to see, it's dangerous. People have died from it. I'm not people." His confidence should be arrogant. Instead, it's just fact. I close my eyes and reach for the darkness that lives beneath my skin. It comes eagerly, like it's been waiting for permission to be free. When I open my eyes, shadows are pooling at my feet, living things that writhe and coil like smoke-given substance. I can manipulate darkness, I explain, and the shadows stretch outward, climbing up the stone walls of the training ground. Create it, shape it, use it as a weapon or a shield. In complete darkness, I'm nearly invisible. And if I push hard enough, I gather the shadows into my palm, compressing them until they solidify into something sharp and deadly. A blade made of pure darkness, humming with power. I can make them physical. Kale doesn't flinch, doesn't step back. Instead, he circles me slowly, studying the shadows with an intensity that makes my skin prickle. How long can you hold that form? In darkness. Hours. In sunlight. I glance at the dying sun. Minutes, maybe. It drains me fast. And the range? About 50 feet, give or take. But I can expand it if I have time to prepare. He nods, processing. The trial will take place in the Grand Arena. It's an open-air coliseum, which means you'll be fighting at sunset, not quite day, not quite night. Twilight. So I'll be at half strength, I conclude. Which is exactly what they're counting on. He moves behind me, and I feel his presence like heat against my back. But they're also expecting a frightened Omega who doesn't know how to fight. So we're going to give them something they're not expecting. Which is... His hand settles on my hip, possessive, guiding. A queen who fights like she has nothing to lose. The next 2 hours are brutal. Kale doesn't hold back, pushing me through combat drills that leave my muscles screaming and my shadows flickering with exhaustion. But with every movement, every correction, I feel myself getting sharper. Faster. Your strength isn't in overpowering your opponent, he instructs as we circle each other on the training mat. It's in making them question reality. Use the shadows to disorient, to confuse. Make them afraid of what they can't see. So psychological warfare wrapped in darkness, I pant. Exactly. He lunges without warning, and I barely manage to dodge, throwing up a shadow shield that absorbs the impact of his strike. Good. But not good enough. Again. We go again. And again. And again, until my body is a map of bruises and my shadows respond to my will without conscious thought. Finally, as the sun kisses the horizon, he calls a halt. You're ready, he says, and there's approval in his voice that makes something warm unfurl in my chest. Am I? I collapse onto the mat, every muscle protesting. Because I feel like death warmed over. Good. That means you're too exhausted to be afraid. He crouches beside me, and his hand cups my face with a gentleness that seems impossible from someone so dangerous. Listen to me, Sarah. When you walk into that arena, they're going to see an Omega. A nobody. They're going to underestimate you, and that's your greatest weapon. Use their prejudice against them, I whisper. Exactly. His thumb traces my cheekbone, and the mate bond thrums between us, alive and electric. And remember, you're not alone in this. I'll be watching. And if they break the rules, if they try to kill you instead of just testing you, you'll what? Start a war with your own council. His smile is sharp enough to draw blood. In a heartbeat. The casual way he says it should terrify me. Instead, it makes me feel something I haven't felt in years, safe. A horn sounds in the distance, low and mournful. That's the summons, Kale says, rising and pulling me to my feet. The trial begins. The Grand Arena is exactly as imposing as its name suggests. Ancient stone rising in tiers, packed with wolves from every rank and territory, all here to witness the Omega who dared to claim the Alpha King. Their hatred is a physical thing, pressing against my skin as Kale leads me to the center of the arena floor. I can feel thousands of eyes on me, hear the whispers that cut sharper than any blade. Pretender. Imposter. Dead wolf walking. Ignore them, Kale murmurs, his hand at the small of my back. Eyes on me. I look up, meeting his silver gaze, and the rest of the world fades to background noise. When this is over, he says softly, we're going to figure out what happened to us. We're going to find who stole our memories. And we're going to make them pay. Promise. On my life. Then he steps back, taking his place in the royal box where the council waits, and I'm alone on the sand. Aldrich rises, his voice magically amplified to reach every corner of the arena. Sarah Nightshade. You have claimed the sacred bond with our king through means unknown and suspicious. Tonight, you face the first trial, the trial of blood. You will face 3 opponents of our choosing. Defeat them and you advance. Fall, and the bond is declared false. 3 opponents. I'd been expecting 1, maybe 2. But 3, back to back, when I'm already exhausted from training. They're trying to break me before I even begin. Let the trial commence. The arena erupts in cheers as a gate on the far side opens. My first opponent emerges, and my heart sinks. He's massive, easily 7 feet of pure muscle, with scars crisscrossing his arms and chest like a roadmap of violence. A beta warrior, by the markings on his neck. Built for endurance fights. Little Omega, he calls, his voice carrying. I'll try to make this quick. Nothing personal. Everything's personal, I counter, and I let my shadows leak out, darkening the sand around my feet. Let's see if you can catch me. He charges, and the real fight begins. He's strong. Brutally, devastatingly strong. His first swing would have taken my head off if I hadn't dropped into a shadow slide, letting the darkness carry me 5 feet to the left. His fist impacts the sand where I'd been standing with enough force to create a small crater. Slippery, he grunts, already spinning to track my movement. Adaptive, I correct, and I send a tendril of shadow whipping toward his ankle. He leaps over it easily, I expected that. But he doesn't expect the second tendril that catches his other leg midair. I yank hard, and he crashes down face first. Before he can recover, I'm on his back, shadow blade pressed to his throat. Yield, I hiss. For a moment, I think he'll refuse. Then, I yield. The crowd goes silent. Shocked. I release him and step back, breathing hard. 1 down. 2 to go. The second opponent doesn't wait for dramatic entrances. She's already moving the moment the gate opens, a blur of speed and silver hair. An alpha's daughter, if I'm reading her bearing right. She's on me in seconds, her claws extended, going for my eyes. I throw up a shadow shield, but she crashes through it like it's paper, and suddenly we're tumbling across the sand in a tangle of limbs and snapping teeth. You don't belong here, she snarls, her wolf right at the surface. You don't belong with him. Then you should have marked him first, I snarl back, and I drive my elbow into her ribs hard enough to crack bone. She yelps and rolls away, giving me space to stand. We circle each other, both bleeding now, both breathing hard. He was promised to me, she spits. Before you stole him with your dark magic. I didn't steal anything, I say, and I believe it. Whatever happened between Kale and me, it wasn't theft. It was something else. Something true. She attacks again, but this time I'm ready. I drop into shadow form, fully dissolving into darkness, and her claws pass harmlessly through where I'd been standing. I reform behind her and deliver a kick to her spine that sends her sprawling. Yield, I demand. Never, she gasps, trying to rise. Then we do this the hard way. I summon every shadow in the arena, and they descend on her like a living shroud, pressing her down, cutting off her air. I don't want to kill you. But I will if you make me. The arena holds its breath. Finally, she taps the sand. Once. Twice. Submission. I release her immediately, and the shadows recede. She lies there gasping, humiliated but alive. 2 down. The third opponent doesn't emerge immediately. Instead, I hear the grinding of metal, the clank of chains. When the gate opens, what steps through isn't a wolf at all. It's a dire bear. 1,200 pounds of rage and hunger, with claws the size of daggers and a roar that shakes the very stones of the arena. That's not fair, I breathe, because dire bears are monsters, apex predators that even alpha packs avoid engaging. They're not rational, can't be reasoned with, can't yield. This fight only ends when one of us is dead. I glance at the royal box, and Chaol is on his feet, his face a mask of fury. He's arguing with the council, gesturing violently at the bear, but Aldrich just smiles coldly. This was always the plan. Put me in the ring with something that can't be merciful. Force Chaol to watch me die, or force him to intervene and prove he's compromised by the mate bond. Either way, they win. The bear charges, and I run. Not away, toward. I sprint directly at the creature, and at the last second, I drop into shadow form and slide between its legs. It skids to a stop, confused, and I reform on its back, wrapping my arms around its massive neck. I'm sorry, I whisper to the creature, because it's not its fault it's been dragged into this political nightmare. But I really need to live. I summon every ounce of darkness I have left, pouring it directly into the bear's mind. Not to kill, I'm not strong enough for that, but to confuse. To terrify. I fill its senses with shadow monsters, with phantom wolves, with every primal fear a creature can hold. It roars and bucks, trying to throw me off, but I hold on with everything I have. My vision is starting to blur, my shadows flickering as my energy depletes. I can't hold this much longer. 5 more seconds. 4. 3. The bear suddenly stops. Goes utterly still. And then, impossibly, it kneels. It submits. The arena erupts in chaos. Wolves are on their feet, shouting, arguing. Some are cheering. Most are calling for my blood because what I just did, making a dire bear submit, shouldn't be possible. Aldrich's face is purple with rage. This trial is complete. Chaol's voice cuts through the noise like a blade. He's in the arena now, moving toward me with lethal grace, and the crowd parts for him like he's the tide and they're the shore. She faced 3 opponents and defeated them all. The trial of blood is satisfied. She used forbidden magic. She used the gifts she was born with, Chaol corrects, and there's death in his eyes. Or are we now punishing wolves for their bloodline abilities? Because I seem to remember several council members who possess gifts just as rare. Shall we put them on trial next? Silence. Tense and brittle. The first trial is complete, the female council member says eventually, shooting Aldrich a warning look. Sarah Nightshade has proven her combat worthiness. Tomorrow night, she faces the trial of spirit. The crowd disperses slowly, reluctantly, and Chaol reaches me just as my legs give out. He catches me before I hit the sand, lifting me into his arms like I weigh nothing. You're insane, he mutters, but there's pride in his voice. Absolutely insane. I won, I managed to say, even though speaking feels like swallowing glass. You did. He's carrying me out of the arena, and I should probably object to being carried, but my body has other ideas. You faced 3 opponents including a dire bear, and you won. Do you have any idea what you just did? Made a lot of enemies. Made them afraid. He looks down at me, and there's something fierce in his expression. They sent you an impossible challenge, and you turned it into a victory. You made a dire bear submit. Sarah, wolves are going to be telling that story for generations. Great, I mumble, my eyes already closing. Future generations can hate me too. His laugh rumbles through his chest. Sleep, little wolf. You've earned it. What's the trial of spirit? I ask, fighting the pull of unconsciousness. Tomorrow, he promises. I'll tell you tomorrow. But I'm already gone, pulled under by exhaustion and the mate bond's insistent pulse, whispering that I'm safe. That I'm home. That I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. Even if I don't remember choosing it. I dream of fire. Not the comforting warmth of a hearth, but the kind of flames that consume everything they touch. I'm running through a forest that's burning, and behind me, wolves are howling. Hunting. They can't know what you are, a woman's voice whispers. My mother's voice. Promise me, Sarah. Promise me you'll hide. I promise, I hear myself say, and then I'm waking up with tears on my face and Kale's arms around me. Shoo, he murmurs, his hand stroking my hair. You're safe. You're with me. It takes a moment for the dream to recede, for reality to settle back in. We're in our bedroom. The moon is high outside the windows, casting everything in silver light. And he's holding me like I'm something precious, something worth protecting. How long was I asleep? My voice is rough. 6 hours. It's just past midnight. He doesn't let go, and I don't ask him to. You were screaming. About fire. About hiding. I close my eyes. Just a nightmare. That felt like memory, he counters gently. Want to talk about it? No. Then, because the mate bond makes lying to him physically painful, maybe. I don't know. He shifts, propping himself up on one elbow so he can look at me properly. In the moonlight, his features are all sharp angles and shadows, devastatingly beautiful and utterly inhuman. Tell me about your mother, he says. The request catches me off guard. Why? Because you've been marked by trauma. I can see it in how you fight, how you hold yourself. And when you were sleeping, you kept calling for her. His thumb traces my cheekbone, wiping away a tear I didn't know had fallen. Tell me what happened. Maybe it's the exhaustion. Maybe it's the bond. Or maybe it's just that I'm tired of carrying this alone. But I find myself talking. She was Shadowborn too. Powerful. But where I can only manipulate darkness, she could create it from nothing. Could blanket an entire territory in shadows that lasted for days. I stare at the ceiling, unable to meet his eyes. Our Pax Alpha was paranoid. Convinced she was conspiring against him, using her powers to spy on him. So he declared her a witch and sentenced her to burn. And you watched. It's not a question. I was 13. She told me to hide in the shadows, to keep them wrapped around me no matter what. So I did. I stood there invisible and useless while they chained her to a stake and set it on fire. While she screamed. I can't finish. Kale pulls me tighter against his chest. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me the most important lesson I've ever learned. Power makes you a target. The stronger you are, the more they'll fear you. The more they'll want to destroy you before you can destroy them. Is that why you've been hiding? Working in a tavern, pretending to be a weak Omega. I'm not pretending. I am a weak Omega. By blood, by pack standing, by every measure that matters in this world. Except you're not. His voice is firm. You're Shadowborn with power that rivals ancient bloodlines. You're my mate. And as of tonight, you're the woman who made a dire bear submit. Weak is the last thing you are. I want to believe him. But 23 years of being told you're worthless doesn't disappear because one wolf thinks you're strong. What's the trial of spirit? I ask instead, changing the subject. He lets it go, though I can feel his reluctance through the bond. It's a test of mental fortitude. They'll put you in a vision state, think of it like a forced dream. You'll face your deepest fears, your worst memories, your darkest secrets. The goal is to navigate through it without breaking. And if I break, the bond is declared false because true mates are supposed to be able to withstand anything when they're connected. He hesitates. But there's a complication. Of course there is. I'll be in the vision with you. That gets my attention. What? The trial of spirit tests both mates simultaneously. We'll be in the same mental space, facing projections of our fears. If either of us breaks, we both fail. So they get to break both of us at once. Efficient. I sit up, pushing hair out of my face. What are your fears, Cale? What am I going to see in there? He's quiet for a long moment. Then, losing control. Becoming my father. The weight behind those words is staggering. Your father, I prompt, was the previous Alpha King. And he was a monster. Cale stands, moving to the window. He believed power was the only thing that mattered. He culled weak pack members, executed anyone who questioned his authority, and when my mother tried to stop him, he killed her in front of the entire court. Cale. I was 16. I challenged him for the throne that same day. We fought for hours. And when it was over, when I was standing over his body, I looked down at my hands and saw his blood, and I thought, I'm just like him. I killed my own father. What does that make me? Someone who saved countless lives, I say fiercely, crossing to him. Someone who stopped a tyrant. Or someone who's one bad day away from becoming the same kind of tyrant. He looks at me, and there's vulnerability in his expression that steals my breath. That's what they'll show you tomorrow. My worst self. The monster I could become. And what will they show you about me? Your deepest shame. Your worst failure. Whatever you're most afraid of. Great. So they'll probably show him the night my mother died, the night I did nothing. The night I was too weak, too afraid to save her. This trial is designed to break us, I say. Yes. So we don't let it. I take his hand, and the mate bond flares bright between us. We face whatever they throw at us together. And we come out the other side stronger. He looks at our joined hands, then back at my face. You continue to surprise me, Sarah Nightshade. Good. I'd hate to be predictable. A knock at the door interrupts whatever he might have said next. Cale's expression immediately shudders, becoming the Alpha King mask he shows the world. Enter. The door opens to reveal a young woman with dark hair and nervous eyes. Forgive the intrusion, my king. But there's been a development. What kind of development? The prisoner has regained consciousness. The one we found near the arena after the first trial. She's asking to speak with. The woman's gaze flicks to me. The king's mate. What prisoner? I ask. Cale's jaw tightens. After your trial, my guards found a woman unconscious in the tunnels beneath the arena. She was carrying this. He pulls something from his pocket, a pendant on a silver chain. The symbol carved into it makes my blood run cold. It's a shadow bird. The ancient symbol of the Shadowborn bloodline. Who is she? I whisper. That's what we need to find out. Cale hands me the pendant. Because she was also carrying something else. A memory crystal. Memory crystals are rare, powerful magical objects that can store and preserve memories. And if someone was carrying one near the arena the night I was on trial. She knows what happened to us, I breathe. Maybe. Or maybe it's a trap. Kale takes my hand. But either way, we're going to find out. Together. The dungeons beneath the palace are exactly as welcoming as you'd expect, all stone and shadows and the lingering scent of despair. But they're also impeccably clean, well-lit, and clearly designed for containment rather than torture. I don't keep prisoners long, Kale explains as we descend. Either they're guilty and executed swiftly, or they're innocent and released. These cells are for temporary holding only. How progressive, I murmur. How efficient. Fear works better when it's quick and certain, not drawn out and sadistic. He says it so matter-of-factly that I almost missed the implication. He's thought carefully about how to rule through fear without becoming his father. It's a tightrope walk that would break most leaders. The prisoner is being held in a cell that's more like a room, bed, desk, even a small window. She's sitting on the edge of the bed, and when we enter, her head snaps up. And I stop breathing. Because I know her face. Luna. The name escapes me in a whisper. She smiles, and it's sad and knowing and familiar. Hello, little shadow. It's been a long time. You two know each other, Kale observes, his hand settling protectively on my lower back. She was my mother's apprentice, I say, my mind reeling. She left right before the burning. I thought she'd abandoned us. Saved herself. I was trying to save you, Luna corrects gently. Your mother sent me away to find help. She knew what was coming, knew the Alpha was planning something. She wanted me to secure passage for both of you to the Eastern Territories. She never said. Because she loved you too much to get your hopes up if I failed. Luna stands, moving closer to the bars. And I did fail. By the time I returned with safe passage, your mother was dead and you'd disappeared. I ran, I say, the admission bitter. Like she told me to. You survived. Luna's voice is fierce. Which is exactly what she wanted. Kale clears his throat. This is touching, but I need answers. You were found unconscious beneath my arena carrying Shadowborn symbols and a memory crystal. Explain. Luna's gaze shifts to him, assessing. The crystal contains the truth about what happened 3 nights ago. About how you and Sarah were bound. Then show us, I demand. I can't. The crystal is keyed to activate only at the right time, in the right place. But I can tell you this, the bonding wasn't an accident. It was prophecy. The word hangs in the air like a blade. Explain, Kale says, his voice dangerously soft. Luna looks at me. Your mother didn't just teach you to hide your powers, Sarah. She was preparing you. Training you for a destiny she'd seen in the old texts. The Shadowborn bloodline carries a prophecy. When darkness falls across the kingdoms, when wolves turn on wolves and the ancient barriers weaken, a shadow daughter will rise. She will bind with the strongest wolf, and together they will either save the supernatural world or watch it burn. That's insane, I whisper. I'm nobody. I'm not some prophesied savior. Aren't you? Luna gestures at my neck, at Kale's mark. The Alpha King doesn't bond with nobodies. And you don't survive 3 opponents including a dire bear by being weak. She has a point, Kale murmurs. I round on him. You can't actually believe this. Prophecies are stories desperate people tell themselves to feel special. Are they? He touches his own neck, where my mark rests. Then explain this. Explain how neither of us remember choosing it. Explain why every instinct I have says you're meant to be here. With me. I can't. Because he's right. The bond between us is more than attraction, more than chemistry. It feels ancient. Inevitable. The memory crystal, I say, turning back to Luna. When does it activate? At the moment of greatest truth. When you both face what you're most afraid of and don't flinch. Luna's smile is knowing. Which, conveniently, happens to be the condition for passing the trial of spirit. Of course it is. So we go through the trial, Kel says slowly. We face our fears. And if we survive, we get answers. If you survive, Luna corrects. The council isn't stupid. They've guessed that you and Sarah are more than you appear. They're going to throw everything they have at breaking you tomorrow. Let them try, I say, and I mean it. Because I'm tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of being afraid of my own power. It's time to remember who I really am. And if that means walking through fire again, this time, I won't be 13 and helpless. This time, I fight back. They bind our wrists together. It's symbolic, Kale explains, as we stand in the center of the arena the next evening. A physical representation of the mental connection we'll share in the vision state. If one of us pulls away, breaks the link, we both fail. Don't let go, I murmur. Never, he promises, and his fingers tighten around mine. The council has gathered in the royal box, watching with barely concealed anticipation. Aldrich looks particularly smug, which can't mean anything good. Around us, the arena is packed with witnesses, all here to see if the Omega Girl and her king can survive their own minds. A shaman, an ancient wolf with milky eyes and hands that shake with age, approaches us. She's carrying a bowl of liquid that glows faintly silver. Moon-blessed water, mixed with herbs that thin the veil between mind and reality. Drink, she instructs, her voice surprisingly strong. Both of you. We drink. The liquid tastes like starlight and shadows, and the effect is immediate. The world tilts, colors bleeding together, and Kale's hand in mine becomes my only anchor. Remember, he whispers as reality dissolves. Whatever you see, it's not real. But it will feel real, I whisper back. Yes. Then we fall. The vision. I land hard on forest floor. Pine needles dig into my palms as I push myself up, and for a moment, I think I'm back in the dream. Back in the burning forest, running from hunters. But this is different. The forest isn't burning. It's dead. Every tree is blackened, skeletal. The ground is ash-gray. And the sky above is dark, sunless, like all the light has been swallowed by some hungry void. Kale. I call out, panic rising. Here. He's standing 20 feet away, staring at something I can't see. Sarah, don't. But I'm already moving toward him, and that's when I see what's caught his attention. Bodies. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Wolves piled upon wolves, all dead, all bearing wounds from claws and teeth. They killed each other. Slaughtered each other in what must have been a frenzy of violence beyond comprehension. This is what happens, a voice says from behind us. We spin, and I bite back a scream. Because standing there, covered in blood and grinning with cruel satisfaction, is Kale. No, not Kale. A version of him. Older, scarred, with eyes that hold no mercy and no sanity. This is what you become, the doppelganger continues, addressing the real Kale. When you let the throne consume you. When you make the hard choices so many times that you forget what soft feels like. When you finally, inevitably, turn into father. I'm nothing like him, Kale growls. Aren't you? The dark version gestures at the bodies. You killed him. Your own blood. And how many others have you killed since? How many necessary executions have you ordered? How many wolves have you crushed beneath your authority? For the good of the packs. That's what father said too. Every tyrant believes they're the good guy, Kale. Every monster thinks they're making necessary sacrifices. I feel Kale's hand trembling in mine. This is his deepest fear, not that he'll die, but that he'll become the thing he hates most. He's not you, I say firmly, addressing the dark version. And you're not Kale. You're just a nightmare given form. The doppelganger's eyes shift to me, and his smile widens. And what nightmares are you hiding, little shadow? Shall we see? The scene shifts like reality folding in on itself, and suddenly we're not in the dead forest anymore. We're in fire. I'm 13 again, small and terrified, wrapped in shadows that make me invisible. And there, chained to the stake, burning, is my mother. No, I whisper. No, not this. Help me, Sarah. My mother's voice pierces through the roar of flames. Please, help me. I can't, I choke out, because I remember this. I lived this. I'm too weak, I can't. Then watch, the dark Kale says, suddenly standing beside me. Watch her burn because you're too afraid to reveal yourself. Too weak to save her. Too pathetic to matter. Tears stream down my face, and my shadows writhe around me uselessly. Because he's right. I could have tried. Could have fought. Could have done something instead of hiding. Sarah. Kale's voice cuts through the memory. Not the dark version, the real one. Sarah, look at me. I tear my eyes away from the burning figure to meet his gaze. This already happened, he says firmly. You can't change it. But you were 13. A child. And your mother didn't want you to die with her. She wanted you to survive. I did nothing. You survived. That is something. That's everything. The dark version laughs. How touching. The monster and the coward, holding hands in the fire. But tell me, Sarah, what happens when he sees what you really are? When he learns that you're not just Shadowborn, but something darker. Something wrong. What is he talking about? Kale asks, but I can't answer. Because the vision is changing again, and this time it's showing him the truth I've kept buried for 10 years. The night after my mother died, when my grief became something else. Something terrible. We're in a clearing. I'm standing over the body of the Alpha who ordered my mother's execution. He's dead, brutally, violently dead. And my hands are covered in shadows that have solidified into claws, still dripping with his blood. You killed him, Kale breathes. I hunted him, the vision version of me says. My younger self, standing in the memory. Tracked him for 3 days. And when I finally found him alone, I made him hurt the way she hurt. I made him burn from the inside out with shadows that ate him alive. You were in pain, Kale says, but there's uncertainty in his voice now. You were grieving. I was powerful, vision me interrupts. For the first time in my life, I didn't hide. I didn't cower. I became the monster they were afraid of. And it felt good. The real me, the current me, wants to protest. To explain that I've spent every day since regretting it, that I've hidden my power to make sure I never lose control like that again. But the words won't come. Because part of me remembers how it felt to stop being afraid. To make someone else hurt instead. Is this who you really are? The dark Kale asks. A killer who's been playing at being weak. How long until you snap again, Sarah? How long until I'm the one who makes you angry? I can feel it, the bond between us weakening. Kale's grip on my hand loosening. Because the vision is doing what it's supposed to, making us doubt each other. Making us doubt ourselves. We're going to fail, I whisper. Not yet. Kale's hand suddenly tightens. They're showing us fears, Sarah. Possibilities. But they're not showing us. What? He turns me to face him fully, and in the firelight, his eyes are clear. Certain. Yes, I could become my father. I carry that potential. But I choose not to every single day. And yes, you killed someone in grief and rage. But you've chosen to be better every day since. That's what matters. Not what we could become, but what we choose to be. The trial is trying to break us by showing us our worst selves. But they're missing something important. He raises our joined hands. We're not facing this alone. You're not the scared 13-year-old who lost her mother. And I'm not the boy who killed his father. We're whatever we choose to be. Together. The conviction in his voice cuts through the vision like a blade. And suddenly I understand. This isn't about being fearless. It's about facing your fears and choosing to move forward anyway. You're right, I say, and I believe it. We're not our fears. We're our choices. I turn to my younger self, to the memory of the girl standing over a dead alpha. I did that. I killed him. And I've spent 10 years making sure I never become that person again. But I'm not going to be ashamed of surviving. Of fighting back. And I'm not my father, Cale says to his dark double. I never will be. Because I choose to be better. Every single day. The vision shudders. The fire, the dead forest, the bodies, all of it flickers like a candle in wind. No, the dark Cale snarls. You can't just. Yes, we can, I interrupt. Because this is our minds. Our fears. And we're done letting them control us. I squeeze Cale's hand, and together we push. Not physically, mentally. Spiritually. We pour everything we are into the bond, into each other, and the vision screams as it shatters. Reality. I wake gasping on the arena floor. Cale is beside me, also breathing hard, our hands still bound together. The crowd is silent, stunned. And in my free hand, clutched tight enough to hurt, is the memory crystal. It must have appeared when the vision broke, summoned by our success. It glows soft silver, pulsing in rhythm with both our heartbeats. Aldrich stands, his face purple. This trial is complete, the female council member says sharply. She's looking at us with something that might be respect. Or fear. They faced their deepest fears and emerged stronger. The trial of spirit is satisfied. But it's satisfied, Aldrich. Let it go. The old wolf looks like he wants to argue, but he sinks back into his seat instead. Beaten. Cale helps me to my feet, his arm around my waist. Are you all right? I don't know, I admit. Ask me when my hands stop shaking. He lifts the crystal. Luna said this would activate at the moment of greatest truth. Then let's see what truth it holds. We're escorted back to the palace, to a private chamber where Luna waits with the shaman who administered the vision state. Cale places the crystal on a stone pedestal, and Luna murmurs words in a language I don't recognize. The crystal flares bright, and suddenly the room is full of light. Images project from it like a hologram, showing us the night everything changed. The memory. We're at the summit ball. I see myself, wearing a server's uniform, carrying drinks through the crowd. Working the event like Luna had arranged, she explains, to get me into the palace. Because 3 nights ago, we'd received a message. The prophecy was coming true. And I needed to be there to meet my mate. On the other side of the ballroom, Cale is holding court with other alphas. He looks bored, distracted, until suddenly his head snaps up. He's scenting the air, his wolf clearly reacting to something. To someone. His eyes scan the crowd and land on me. The reaction is immediate and visceral. I see him take a step forward, then stop himself. See the confusion on his face as his wolf pushes forward, demanding he claim what's his. And I watch myself freeze mid-step, the tray of drinks forgotten. My eyes are locked on him, wide with shock and recognition. Mate. The word pulses between us, visible in the memory as a shimmer of silver light. We move toward each other like magnets, unable to resist the pull. The crowd parts around us, sensing the power building in the air. You, Kale says in the memory, and his voice is rough with wonder. You, I echo. This is impossible. You're nobody, I finish. I know. But I feel it too. His hand reaches out, touching my face, and the contact sends visible sparks of silver and shadow dancing between us. The mate bond, recognizing itself. There's a prophecy, I say in the memory. About a Shadowborn and an Alpha King. About saving the supernatural world or watching it burn. I don't care about prophecies, memory Kale growls. Tell me your name. Sarah. Sarah Nightshade. Sarah, he repeats, like he's tasting the word. Will you accept my bond? Will you accept mine? In a heartbeat. And then we're moving, being guided by Luna and another figure I don't recognize to a private chamber. The bonding room, sacred and ancient, where wolves have sealed their fates for millennia. What happens next is private, intimate, the crystal shows only fragments. The ritual words. The marks appearing on both our necks, glowing bright. The moment we seal the bond with a kiss that's equal parts desperation and certainty. And then. Darkness. Someone appears in the room. Multiple someones, their faces obscured by magic. They're chanting, and the air fills with thick, cloying smoke. What are they doing? I ask in the memory, already swaying. Memory spell, Kale slurs, trying to stay on his feet. They're stealing. He collapses. I fall beside him, and the last thing the memory shows is Luna fighting off the attackers, screaming for help, before she too goes down. The crystal flickers and goes dark. Present. Silence fills the chamber. We chose this, I finally say. We chose each other. But someone didn't want us to remember, Kale adds, his hand finding mine. Someone powerful enough to break into the palace and cast a memory spell that could affect both of us. Someone who knew about the prophecy, Luna says quietly. And wanted to stop it from coming true. Or control it, the shaman murmurs. Control you. Because a Shadowborn and an Alpha King bound together. That's power enough to shift the balance of every supernatural territory. And there are those who would rather see that power destroyed than risk it being used against them. The third trial, I realize. It's tomorrow. And whoever did this will try again. Not just try, Kale says grimly. They'll succeed or die trying. Because if we complete all 3 trials, our bond becomes unbreakable. Literally. No magic, no spell, not even death can sever it completely. What's the third trial? I ask. Luna and the shaman exchange a look. The trial of soul, the shaman finally says. Where you prove your bond is real by standing in the sacred fire together. If the bond is genuine, the fire purifies but doesn't burn. If it's false. We burn, I finish. You burn, she confirms. And if someone sabotages the fire? Kale demands. Makes it so we burn regardless. Then the prophecy ends before it begins, Luna says softly. And whoever's trying to stop you wins. Kale's hand tightens on mine. Then we make sure they don't get the chance. How? I ask. If they could get to us at the summit ball, they can get to us anywhere. Not anywhere. His smile is sharp and dangerous. We change the game. We don't wait for the trial. We complete the bond tonight. But the council can object all they want. Once the bond is sealed, once we've passed through the sacred fire of our own choosing, there's nothing they can do. We'll have satisfied all three trials: blood, spirit, and soul. The bond becomes unbreakable. That's actually brilliant, Luna admits. But you'll need access to sacred fire. That's not easy to come by. I'm the Alpha King, Kale says. I make the rules. And I say we're not giving our enemies another chance to destroy us. He looks at me, his silver eyes intense. Sarah. Will you trust me? Will you walk into fire with me, not because some council demands it, but because you choose it? I think about the memory. About how we chose each other once already, even knowing the danger. Even knowing the prophecy. I think about the trials we've survived, the fears we've faced, the bond that grows stronger with every passing moment. And I think about the alternative, waiting for tomorrow, giving our enemies time to plan, to strike, to destroy what we've built. Yes, I say. I choose you. I choose us. Let's end this tonight. His smile is fierce and proud. Then let's go claim our destiny, my queen. And for the first time since waking in his bed with his mark on my neck and no memory of how it got there, I feel certain. This is exactly where I'm meant to be. With him. Fighting beside him. Ready to burn the world down if anyone tries to tear us apart. The prophecy said we'd either save the supernatural world or watch it burn. Well, they're about to find out that Sarah Nightshade doesn't lose. Not anymore. The sacred flames are kept in a temple deep within the mountain, in a chamber that predates even the oldest pacts. Kale leads us there through secret passages known only to the Alpha King, Luna, and the shaman flanking us like guards. You understand what you're risking, the shaman says as we descend. If the bond is false, if there's even a shred of doubt, the fire will know. It will consume you both. The bond is real, I say with certainty. We saw it. We chose it. But you still don't remember the choosing, she presses. Not truly. The memory crystal showed you facts, but not feelings. Not the moment your souls decided they were ready to bind forever. Are you certain, truly certain, that your bond can withstand the fire? I look at Kale. His hand is warm in mine, his presence a constant anchor. And I realize I don't need to remember the exact moment we chose each other. Because I choose him now. Every moment. Every heartbeat. I'm certain, I say. As am I, Kale adds. The shaman nods slowly. Then may the old gods have mercy on your souls. The temple chamber is breathtaking, all ancient stone carved with symbols that pulse with soft light. And in the center, burning without fuel or wood, is the sacred fire. It's white silver, almost alive, and it radiates a power so intense I can feel it pressing against my skin from across the room. Only those truly mated can withstand the flames, Luna says softly. It's why the council uses it as the final trial. Because the fire sees truth. It cannot be fooled. Then we have nothing to fear, Kale says. But as we approach the fire, I feel doubt creep in. What if the memory spell damaged our bond? What if whoever attacked us fractured something essential, and the fire will expose that weakness? What if we burn? Sarah. Kale turns me to face him, his hands cupping my face. I can feel your fear. Through the bond. I'm terrified, I admit. Good. So am I. But I need you to listen to me. His thumbs stroke my cheekbones, gentle and grounding. Whatever happens in that fire, whatever we face it together. You don't let go of me, and I don't let go of you. Understood? Understood. Say it. Say you won't let go. I won't let go, I promise. No matter what. Good. He presses his forehead to mine, and the mate bond flares between us, bright and certain. Because you're mine, Sarah Nightshade. And I don't give up what's mine. Not to the council. Not to our enemies. Not even to sacred fire. Then he kisses me. It's not the first kiss we've shared since waking up bonded, but it's the first one that feels like choice. Like promise. His lips move against mine with fierce certainty, and I kiss him back with everything I am, pouring all my fear and hope and stubborn determination into the connection. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. Ready? He asks. No. But let's do this anyway. Hand in hand, we step into the fire. In the flames. The heat hits first, searing, intense, but not painful. It's like being wrapped in summer sun concentrated 1,000-fold. The flames climb up our bodies, silver white and alive, and I feel them testing us. Probing at our bond, searching for weakness. Show me your truth, the fire whispers. Not in words, but in feeling. Show me what binds you. And suddenly we're not in the temple anymore. We're in that moment. The real moment. The one the memory crystal couldn't fully capture because it was never meant to be seen, only felt. The true memory. I'm in the bonding chamber, 3 nights ago, facing Kale across the sacred circle. Luna is chanting the old words, preparing the ritual, but all I can see is him. This is insane, I whisper. We just met. We don't know each other. Don't we? He steps closer, his eyes never leaving mine. I've been waiting for you my entire life. I just didn't know it until I saw you across that ballroom. Tell me you don't feel it. Tell me your wolf isn't screaming that this is right. I can't. Because my wolf is screaming. Not in fear, in recognition. In absolute certainty that this male, this alpha, is ours. The prophecy. Fuck the prophecy. He closes the distance between us. I don't care about destiny or ancient texts or saving the world. I care about this. He touches my face, and this, he places his hand over my heart, and the fact that every instinct I have says you're meant to stand beside me. I'm nobody, I protest weakly. An omega. A shadow born the world tried to burn away. I'm not queen material. You're wrong. His voice is fierce. You're a survivor. A fighter. You've hidden your power to stay alive, but I see you, Sarah. I see your strength. Your intelligence. Your stubborn refusal to break even when the world demands it. That's exactly the kind of queen the Northern Territories needs. You don't know me. Then let me learn. He takes my hands, and electricity arcs between us. Take this bond with me. Not because prophecy says we should, but because we choose to. Because in a world full of obligations and duty and political machinations, I want one thing that's real. That's mine because I chose it. And if I destroy you? The question tears out of me. If my power consumes you the way it consumed my mother's alpha. If I... You won't. He says it with such certainty that I almost believe him. Because I'm not afraid of your darkness, Sarah. I'm afraid of living the rest of my life without it. Tears stream down my face. Because he means it. This powerful, dangerous Alpha King is offering me a choice, a real choice, in a life that's had precious little of it. If I do this, I whisper, if I bond with you, I'm committing to more than just a mate. I'm committing to your kingdom. Your wars. Your enemies. Everything you are and everything you'll become. I know. And you're committing to mine. To my past. My shadows. My trauma. My potential to be exactly what they feared my mother was. I know. He smiles, and it transforms his entire face. Still want me? I laugh through my tears. You're insane. Completely. So are you. We'll be insane together. That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. Then it's perfect for us. He pulls me closer. Say yes, Sarah. Choose this. Choose me. Not because you have to, but because you want to. I look into his silver eyes and see my future. It's terrifying. Dangerous. Full of battles and blood and enemies who will never stop trying to tear us apart. It's also real. Honest. The first thing in my life that's mine because I chose it, not because I was forced or running or hiding. Yes, I breathe. I choose you. I choose this. I choose us. And then we're kissing, and the bond explodes between us like a supernova, and I know, this is right. This is real. This is exactly where I'm meant to be. The memory fades, but the feeling remains. That absolute certainty. That soul-deep recognition. The fire burns brighter, hotter, but still it doesn't hurt. Instead, it feels like purification. Like every doubt, every fear, every question is being burned away, leaving only truth. You chose each other, the fire whispers. Not once, but twice. First in memory, now in fire. Your bond is true. The flames suddenly intensify, climbing higher, and I hear Luna gasp from outside the fire. But I'm not afraid. Because Kale's hand is locked around mine, and the bond between us is singing with power. We're going to make it, I say. I know. He grins, wild and fierce. Hold on. The fire reaches its crescendo, a pillar of silver-white flame that fills the entire chamber. I feel it sinking into my bones, into my soul, reforging the bond between us into something unbreakable. And then it's done. The flames recede, returning to their normal height, and we're standing in the center of the temple, unburned and whole. The marks on our necks glow brilliant silver, brighter than before, and I can feel the bond humming between us like a living thing. Stronger. Permanent. Eternal. Luna and the shaman are staring at us with awe. It's done, the shaman breathes. The bond is sealed. Nothing can break it now. Not magic, not death, not the passage of time itself. You are bound, completely and forever. Good, Kale says, pulling me against his side. Because I'm not letting her go. Nor should you, a new voice says from the entrance to the chamber. We all spin, and my blood runs cold. Because standing there, flanked by 24 armed wolves, is Aldrich. And his eyes are filled with murderous intent. You've made a terrible mistake, my king, he says, and there's no deference in his tone anymore. By sealing the bond before the official trial, you've violated ancient law. And that gives me the authority I need to do what should have been done the moment she appeared. What authority? Kale growls, moving in front of me protectively. The authority of the Elder Council. The true council, not the puppets who sit in your throne room. Aldrich gestures, and more wolves emerge from the shadows. 20. 30. 40. All armed. All ready for battle. We've been watching you, Kale. Watching you become soft. Weak. Compromised by a bond that never should have existed. And now we're taking back control. This is treason, Luna snarls. This is preservation, Aldrich corrects. The prophecy speaks of a Shadowborn and an Alpha King saving the world. But it also speaks of them destroying it. And we cannot risk the latter. So we're eliminating the variable. He raises his hand, and I see the crossbow bolts aimed directly at me. Not ordinary bolts, these are tipped with silver and blessed with magic that will disrupt even the strongest healing. They're designed to kill supernaturals. Designed to kill me. You can't kill her, Chaol says, his voice deadly calm. She's my mate. Her death would kill me too. That's how completed bonds work. We know. Aldrich's smile is cold. That's why we have a replacement ready. Your nephew, young Marcus. He'll make a fine Alpha King. Ruthless. Untainted by prophecy. Willing to do what you've become too weak to do. You're insane. Perhaps. But we're also right. He nods to his wolves. Kill them both. Make it quick. Everything happens at once. The wolves attack. Chaol shifts, his massive black wolf form erupting with deadly grace. Luna throws herself at the nearest attacker, her own wolf form smaller but viciously fast. The shaman starts chanting, throwing up protective barriers. And me? I let my shadows explode outward with everything I have. The temple chamber plunges into absolute darkness. Not natural darkness, my darkness. The kind that gets inside your head and shows you your worst fears. Every wolf in Aldrich's force suddenly finds themselves blind, disoriented, fighting shadows that aren't there while the real threats slip past their guard. Chaol's wolf tears through them like they're paper. Luna fights with a precision that speaks of decades of combat training. And I dance through the chaos, my shadows protecting our allies while confusing our enemies. But there are too many. For every wolf we drop, 2 more appear. Aldrich wasn't lying about having an army ready. This was planned. All of it. From the memory spell to the trials to this moment. They wanted us to seal the bond so they'd have justification to kill us both and install a puppet king. We need to get out of here. Luna shouts over the clash of battle. The passage, the shaman gasps, pointing to a hidden door. It leads outside the mountain. Go. What about you? I demand. I'll hold them. She raises her hands, and the air shimmers with power. Go. Chaol's wolf form nudges me toward the door, and I run. Luna is right behind me, and together we plunge into the dark tunnel just as the sounds of combat intensify behind us. The passage is narrow, winding, and pitch black. But in the darkness, I'm in my element. My shadows guide us, showing the way, and we run faster than should be possible. Behind us, I hear Aldrich's voice echoing, "Find them. They can't leave this mountain alive." We burst out into night air on the far side of the mountain. The forest stretches before us, dark and endless. Safety. If we can reach it. But then arrows rain down from the trees, and I realize they predicted this too. Of course they did. They've been planning this coup for who knows how long. Chaol. I scream as he shifts back to human form, an arrow lodged in his shoulder. I'm fine, he grits out, snapping the shaft. Run. Not without you. Sarah. Not. Without. You. I pull my shadows tight around both of us, creating a barrier against the arrows. We stand together or not at all. Remember. He looks at me, and something fierce and primal flashes in his eyes. Together. Together. Luna shifts back to human form beside us. They have us surrounded. 3 directions blocked. Our only chance is to fight through to the east and hope we can lose them in the deep forest. Then that's what we do. Chaol's hand finds mine. Sarah, can you hold the shadow barrier while we move? I can try. Good. Because we're about to do something very stupid. What? His grin is feral. We're going to run directly at them and trust that your shadows will keep us alive. It's the worst plan I've ever heard. I love it, I say. Let's go. And we run. Straight toward the enemy line, with nothing but shadows and determination between us and certain death. Arrows bounce off my barrier. Wolves leap at us, only to be confused by darkness and torn apart by Kale's claws. Luna fights beside us, a whirlwind of lethal precision. We break through the line and plunge into the forest. Behind us, Aldrich's forces give chase, but in the deep woods, in the darkness, we have the advantage. We run for what feels like hours. Through undergrowth and over streams, putting distance between us and the mountain. Finally, when I can barely breathe and my shadows are flickering with exhaustion, Kale calls a halt in a small cave hidden behind a waterfall. We collapse, all three of us breathing hard. That was insane, Luna pants. You realize they're going to hunt us across every territory, right? You're fugitives now. Both of you. I know. Kale pulls the arrow from his shoulder with a grunt. His healing is already closing the wound, but it's slower than it should be. The silver is still in his system. But we're alive. And we have something they don't. What? I ask. He takes my hand, and the completed bond pulses between us, warm and unbreakable. We have each other. We have the prophecy. And we have allies they don't know about. Allies? The other territories. The ones who are sick of the Elder Council's control. The ones who believe the old ways need to change. His eyes gleam with dangerous intelligence. Aldrich and his puppets just declared war on their own king. That gives every rival territory the perfect excuse to move against them. So what do we do? Luna asks. Kale looks at me, and I see the Alpha King rising to the surface. Not the corrupted version from the vision, but the true one. The one who's smart enough to turn a disaster into an opportunity. We run, he says. For now. We gather our strength, contact our allies, and build an army. And then we take back my kingdom. Our kingdom, I correct. I'm your queen, remember. Which means your enemies are my enemies. Your war is my war. He smiles, fierce and proud. Our kingdom. Our war. Our victory. Or our pyre, Luna mutters. This could go very badly. It could, I agree. But I didn't survive this long by playing it safe. And I didn't complete a sacred bond just to hide in a cave while traitors steal my mate's throne. Our throne, Kale corrects with a smirk. Our throne, I agree. We rest for an hour, treating wounds and planning our next move. And as I sit there, leaning against Kale's side with his arm around me and Luna keeping watch at the cave entrance, I realize something. For the first time in my life, I'm not running because I'm afraid. I'm running because I'm preparing to fight. And when we return, when we take back what's ours, the Northern Territories are going to learn what happens when you try to destroy a Shadowborn queen and her Alpha King. The prophecy said we'd either save the supernatural world or watch it burn. Well, Aldrich and his Elder Council just lit the match. Now they get to see what happens when we choose to burn it down ourselves and rebuild it better. Together. 3 weeks later. The safe house is actually a fortified compound in the neutral territories, owned by an old ally of Kale's mother. We've been gathering forces here, wolves disillusioned with Aldrich's regime, minor alphas tired of Elder Council control, even a few powerful shifters from other species who see opportunity in the chaos. We're building an army. Slowly. Carefully. And every night, I train. Not just combat, though there's plenty of that. I'm learning to use my Shadowborn gifts at full power, without fear or restraint. Kale spars with me, pushes me, helps me understand that my power isn't something to hide. It's a weapon. One we're going to need. Tonight, as we stand on the compound's walls looking out at the forest, Kale pulls me close. Luna got word from the capital, he says quietly. Aldrich is hunting for us. He's put a bounty on both our heads. 100,000 silver pieces. Dead or alive. That's flattering. I didn't know I was worth so much. He doesn't smile. He's also started purging any wolves suspected of being loyal to me. Executions. Public ones. My hands clench on the wall. Then we move soon. Not yet. We're not strong enough. When, then? He turns me to face him, and in the moonlight, his eyes are pure silver. When I'm certain we'll win. Because I'm not risking you, Sarah. I'm not putting you in a battle we might lose. That's not your choice to make. I touched the mark on his neck, feeling it pulse with warmth. I'm not some precious flower to be protected. I'm your mate. Your queen. Your equal. And that means I fight beside you, not behind you. I know. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. Good. Because if this was easy, I'd be worried we were doing something wrong. He laughs, and it's such a genuine sound that my heart aches. Despite everything, the betrayal, the exile, the danger, we've found something real. Something worth fighting for. I never thanked you, he says softly. For what? For choosing me. That night at the summit ball. You could have refused the bond. Could have said no and walked away. But you didn't. Neither did you. True. But I'm the Alpha King. Or I was. I had power, territory, an army. What did you have? Nothing, I admit. I had absolutely nothing to offer you except my shadows and my stubborn refusal to die. Exactly. He cups my face, tender and fierce. You chose me when you had nothing to gain and everything to lose. That's not strategy. That's not politics. That's faith. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving I'm worth that faith. You already have, I whisper. You walked into sacred fire with me. You gave up your throne rather than let them break our bond. You're choosing me over everything, Chaol. That's more than worth it. That's everything. We kiss, and the bond flares between us, bright and certain. And I know, that whatever comes next, we'll face it together. A howl rises in the distance. Then another. And another. They found us, Luna calls from below. We need to move. Now. Chaol's eyes flash wolf. How many? At least 50. Maybe more. They're surrounding the compound. Then we don't run. I let my shadows leak out, darkening the air around us. We make them regret coming. Sarah. You said we move when we're certain we'll win, right? Well, I'm certain. Because they're not fighting an Omega hiding her power anymore. They're fighting the Alpha King's queen. And I don't lose. He stares at me for a long moment, and then his smile turns dangerous. No. No, you don't. He raises his voice, addressing the compound. To arms. We stand and fight. For our future. For our freedom. For the prophecy that cannot be stopped. Wolves pour from the buildings, armed and ready. Not as many as Aldrich has. Not nearly enough, probably. But we have something they don't. We have truth. We have a bond that cannot be broken. And we have a queen who's done running. As the enemy forces crash against our walls, as the battle begins in earnest, I stand beside my mate and let my shadows explode outward with everything I am. And for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid of my own power. Because I'm not wielding it alone anymore. I have Chaol beside me, his silver eyes gleaming with fierce pride. I have Luna at my back, loyal and deadly. I have allies who believe in the prophecy, who believe in us. And together, we're unstoppable. The battle rages through the night. And when dawn finally breaks, we're still standing. Aldrich's forces retreat, leaving behind their dead and their wounded. We've won this round. But it's just the beginning. The real war, the one for the Northern Territories, for the future of all supernatural kind, that war has only just begun. And Sarah Nightshade, Shadowborn Queen and prophesied savior or destroyer of worlds. She's ready.